What happened to me shouldn't happen to anyone, but I'm glad it did. People used to treat me like I was nothing, an afterthought at best in a male-dominated industry. It was in the grand auditorium of Aerotech Industries, filled to the brim with 200 skeptical engineers and executives, where my chance to rewrite the narrative began. Richard Morrison, the arrogant CEO known for crushing dreams, stood before me, his condescending smile a slap in the face. "Can you fix the T8000 turbojet engine?" he challenged, his voice dripping with sarcasm, as if a mere woman could solve the multi-million-dollar fiasco that baffled his elite team. The audience, oozing skepticism, shared a collective eye roll, but inside I felt a fire igniting. My calm demeanor was a mask concealing the depth of my determination. I knew exactly what had gone wrong in that engine. As I started to dissect the evidence before me, whispers of disbelief began to circulate. They underestimated my expertise, believing I was merely playing a part in this corporate circus. But my quiet resolve was transforming the tension in that room, revealing the innate flaws that sophisticated minds had overlooked. And then came the twist. Seated next to Marcus Chun, a fellow engineer, a secret message passed between us, igniting a plan broader than just fixing an engine. As the federal investigation into Aerotech's past crimes unfolded, my identity shifted from the invisible underdog to Dr. Keisha Williams, an engineer whose integrity was stolen. When the truth erupted, I stood tall, not just to fix an engine, but to dismantle an entire corrupted power structure that thrived on demeaning voices like mine. My journey from obscurity to empowerment was just beginning. "Undermined, ladies and gentlemen," Richard Morrison sneered, surveying the sea of faces. "Let's see if Keisha can fix what my best team couldn't." The audience chuckled, exchanging glances as Kesha stood in the spotlight, every inch of her demeanor radiating anxiety, masked by determination. "Impossible," someone hissed from the back. Kesha steadied her breath, gripping the edges of the workbench. "I can do this," she murmured, but Morrison's piercing gaze dared her to fail. "Oh, come on, Kesha," he taunted, crossing his arms. "You really think you can handle the T8000? This isn't just a school project." Laughter erupted, each peal striking like a knife. "Watch me," she shot back, her voice high but defiant, heart racing. As she approached the imposing jet engine, Morrison continued, "I mean, everyone knows a woman like you well, you just don't cut it in aerospace." Each word dripped with condescension, as if he believed her skin color disqualified her from brilliance. But Kesha's mind raced, dissecting the engine's design flaws, the very flaws the elites missed. "Here," she pointed, her confidence rising with each deduction. "The pressure valve is misaligned." Skepticism flickered among some. Morrison's smile faltered. "No way. This isn't over yet, Keisha." With a swift move, Keisha whispered a message to Marcus, her ally on the sidelines. As adrenaline surged, the stakes had just escalated. "You have no idea who you're dealing with," she thought, her gaze firming on Morrison, determination igniting a fire behind her eyes. The audience watched, captivated. As Keisha began to unravel his smokescreen, Morrison's arrogance cracked. Perhaps he underestimated more than just her. He had underestimated the power of truth and resilience. Keisha stood at the forefront of the auditorium, feeling the weight of skepticism heavy in the air. Every eye trained on her with a mix of curiosity and contempt. Richard Morrison's scornful smirk pierced through her confidence, thinly veiled disdain in his tone as he challenged her to fix the intricate T8000 turbojet engine, the very project designed to showcase his company's superiority, now a symbol of its profound failure. The murmurs of the audience heightened her discomfort, each taunt rattling like a stone thrown at her shield. Yet beneath the surface, a quiet storm brewed within Kesha. She had spent 3 long years immersed in aerospace research, illuminating the flaws in the industry that others blindly praised. The humiliation became a reservoir for her rage and resolve. As Morrison's taunts intensified, her thoughts crystallized into a singular truth. The only way to dismantle the facade was to expose it. When Morrison carelessly mocked her expertise, Kesha clasped her hands to steady the tremors of her rising frustration. The injustice she carried grew heavier. A pivotal moment crystallized during Morrison's derisive laughter. An unexpected alert flashed on her screen, indicating the federal investigation he hadn't seen coming. The stakes had shifted. With a deep breath, Kesha surged forward, determined to unveil the secrets that bound her past to the present's chaos. She would not be the underdog today. She'd been playing the long game, and she was done accepting their version of her story. As she glanced at the engine, everything before her morphed into an array of possibilities. The tension in her chest ignited as clarity washed over her. She had enough. She would fight, but not just for herself. The curtain would rise on the truth, and it was time for change. Kesha stood before the T-8000 turbojet, her heart beating steadily as she took in the wreckage of a dream once thought impossible. The room buzzed with skepticism, an undercurrent of doubt threading through the audience's whispers. Morrison's taunts felt like weights pressing down on her. Yet the moment she turned the wrenches in her hands, clarity came rushing back. "This isn't just a challenge," Kesha murmured to herself. "It's my moment." She focused on the engine, honing in on the critical flaw the Harvard team had overlooked. The hum of the industrial environment faded until it was just her and the machine. A quiet resolve transformed into an unshakable confidence. "I believe in this," she said softly, glancing at Marcus, who nodded resolute. Just then her phone buzzed, a text confirming support she had secretly rallied. Morrison's disdain hung heavy in the air. "Do you even understand what you're dealing with?" he sneered, his voice dripping with contempt. Kesha turned to him, unwavering. "More than you know," she replied, her voice steady. The laughter began to wane as others took notice of her determination. Each bolt she secured, each piece she calibrated, felt like a small victory, proof that she wasn't just a pawn in Morrison's game. She was reclaiming her narrative. The firing as yet dawned amongst the crowd. The underdog was rising, and Kesha was ready to launch herself into the stratosphere of change, one repaired jet engine at a time. Kesha stood resolute in the spotlight, the hum of the T-8000 turbojet resonating behind her. Richard Morrison sneered as she deftly navigated the engine's components, his confidence dwindling with every calculated move she made. The audience, generically skeptical at first, couldn't help but lean in, eyes wide, as Kesha demonstrated her deep expertise. "Morrison underestimated her," a murmured voice echoed in the crowd. Kesha's fingers glided over the circuit boards, her eyes alight with determination. "Every flaw they missed, I see clearly now," she announced, her voice steady. Then came her reveal. "I'm Dr. Kesha Williams, and this engine isn't just broken, it's built on stolen research." The atmosphere shifted, palpable tension crackling as Morrison's facade began to fracture. Wheels turned in Kesha's mind. 3 years of meticulous gathering, documented evidence stacked like ammunition. With a flick, she shared incriminating footage on the auditorium's massive screens. Gasps erupted, faces paled. Employees watched, shocked, as Morrison's arrogance unraveled before them, revealing a decade of systemic corruption. Her voice rang out confidently, slicing through startled silence. This is what happens when unethical ambitions overshadow true talent. As federal agents stormed in, Kesha felt the rush of vindication. Morrison staggered back against the wall, his bravado evaporating. "You can't do this," he stammered. But it was too late. His world crumbled as he was handcuffed, the weight of his actions finally crushing him under the weight of the truth. The audience erupted in silent applause, a collective breath of disbelief mixed with a dawning respect for Kesha. She turned to the crowd, her heart racing, but her expression calm. "We can build something better, together," she declared, the room enveloped in a newfound sense of hope. In that moment of justice, Kesha had not just fixed an engine. She had paved the way for change, leaving behind an empire looking to redefine itself, not through fear but through empowerment. As I stood in the auditorium, the echoes of disbelief and mockery faded into the background, replaced by a profound realization of my own strength. I had faced an impossible challenge head-on, not just to prove my worth but to expose the flawed system that had cast me aside for too long. The journey from an underestimated engineer to the catalyst for change wasn't just about fixing a jet engine. It was about reclaiming my narrative and standing up against years of injustice. TA, with a deep breath, I reflected on those moments of doubt, how they had shaped me, pushed me to rise again, and made me stronger. I realized that every challenge was an opportunity to illuminate the darker corners of an industry steeped in bias. So, I ask you, do you think I went too far in my quest for justice? What would you have done in my shoes? Have you ever felt the weight of someone else's prejudice? I invite you to share your thoughts, your stories, and weigh in on the intricate dance of power and justice we all navigate. Let's engage in a conversation and build a community where every voice matters.